Hello class, this is Mr. Grenner. Your next lesson will be focused on the concept of evaluating arguments. What is an argument? For our classroom purposes, an argument is a written composition or a speech that is intended to convince or persuade others. Why are we learning about arguments? Let's watch a quick video.
William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulty, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead. Whether we join in it or not, we mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
So, who wants to go to the moon? I know I do. How about you? President Kennedy was making an argument. Who was he speaking to? That's right, he was speaking to the entire country. What was his argument? Very good. His argument was that the United States should lead the race to the moon. Why do you think he chose to make an argument instead of simply giving the order? He wanted to persuade or convince as many Americans as possible that the manned space program was good for the country and good for the world as a whole. As you can see, arguments can be a very powerful and useful tool. You will find yourselves evaluating other people's arguments and making arguments of your own throughout the entire course of your life. As a matter of fact, you've been making arguments your whole life. Perhaps you just didn't know it. Have you ever asked a parent for spending money or for a new cell phone? You were making an argument. Of course, your parents had probably made an argument of their own. So what are we going to learn? We're going to start by learning the vocabulary of an argument, which is an important first step in understanding the argument. We're going to learn new words such as claim, bias, evidence, persuasion, fallacy, and many, many more. We're then going to learn the components of an argument, where we will be introduced to the different ways a person can construct an argument. Some of the components of an argument are point of view, comparison and contrast, reasoning, emotion, evidence-based, and by far the most important component of an argument is the argument's effectiveness. We will read and listen to various arguments, and then we will look at the parts of each argument to determine if the argument was convincing or not. At the end of the lesson, we will be able to evaluate several different types of arguments and measure their effectiveness. So how do we evaluate an argument? This anchor chart describes the steps we are going to take to determine the effectiveness of different types of arguments. You will all be given your own anchor chart that you can refer to at any time, and it will also be posted on the classroom wall. We are going to start slow, working through several texts together so that we all gain an understanding of the basics of the concept. We will move faster as you become more comfortable with the concept, and students will work both independently and in small groups. We will finish with a group presentation of your evaluation of a more advanced argument. Let's work through a sample argument. Take a moment to read this paragraph. In this paragraph, there is only one obvious keyword or phrase, but you will get the hang of identifying them in future texts. In the first line, the author says, "in my opinion," which indicates their beliefs to the reader. This is a common preposition in argumentative texts. Can you think of any other ways to say "in my opinion"? How about "I think" or "I believe"? So remember, key words and phrases. In the second line, the author compares and contrasts the positive aspects of living in the countryside to living in the city. So remember, comparison and contrast. In the third line, the author uses reasoning to justify why people might prefer to live in the city. Remember, reasoning. When the author states that life in the city is more active and vibrant than life in the country, they are using bias. Some readers may disagree and think that life in the country is quite active and vibrant, but the author is trying to convince readers otherwise. The author concludes by restating his initial statement: it's better to live in the city. The author makes it clear that this is the main purpose of his argument. He wanted it to be so clear that he said it twice. The main purpose of the argument is called the central claim. The author's central claim is that living in the city is better than living in the country. Now, imagine that you were the mayor of a city and you wanted tourists to visit and families to move to your city. Do you think you could make similar arguments? Now, imagine what a powerful tool that making effective arguments can be for almost everything you do in the classroom and in life. It's amazing. And now for the slide that you've all been waiting for. How will you be graded? Well, we are going to take 2 vocabulary quizzes that will be worth 20% of your grade. We are also going to take a major concept test that will be worth 30% of your grade, more than likely multiple choice. You are going to be assigned 3 evaluation essays where you will write an essay on 3 argumentative texts, and each of those will be worth 10% of your grade for a total of 30%. And finally, we will conclude the lesson with a group presentation on an argumentative text, which will be worth 20% of your grade. Are we ready to get started? Thanks.